So comedy is a powerful tool to cut through the clutter of the endless noise that we are all bombarding with every day, every hour, all the time. It's kind of like it's making it's kind of like the you know the term spoonful of sugar that makes the medicine go down. So comedy allows complicated issues to be more attractive for the listener.
Well, I think the humor can be a useful tool to channel, especially the young and less interested people in politics and daily news that are very important. Because some of those who are lately we have a lot of these people who say like, we are crazy from this, we don't want to follow this anymore. I think humor and satire should be and could be useful as a channel to point the people in the right direction of where they can find the very most important information for them, because we have like in the media in the major media outlets that sometimes like very important news that actually have the impact on our lives are more distributed, more broadcasted, more they get more traction and that they get more views than those who are really important and who actually have an impact to the society, climate, environment, or budgets, or whatever.
I think the humor itself has a very healthy dose of sanity. So when something is really funny and it's appealing to people and they want to share it, it also means that it's probably true, because otherwise that wouldn't happen. So this way, of course, humor brings this sanity to the political discourse in general.
I think satire is really great at making a personal connection between the writer and the reader in a way that traditional media doesn't necessarily have the ability to. So by engendering this sense of trust with the readership and by making them laugh, you kind of force them to agree with you. And you can't do that with a newspaper article. You have to just lay out the facts. And so I think what we can do is really make that kind of bond and foster that connection and try to get people to learn the facts and think about the media that they're consuming and how it's affecting them and what kind of narratives they happen to be attached to, and maybe have them question whether those are correct or not.
I think humor is super important, and especially in a country like Zimbabwe, where there's very little freedom of expression. And so we use political satire and humor as a way to joke about the situation, but also really to make young people think about it and take action. So I think we find it as a really important tool to make young people reflect, but also to act.
For us here in Liberty TV, humor helps approach very serious topics in a fun way, and thus help us engage broader audiences who are not very much interested in political, economical, and social issues.
This conference was like eye-opening in a way that you see, well, it depends on what's your point of comparison. If you take United States, of course it's much more difficult to do political satire here, but then we heard the guys from Zimbabwe and it's a piece of cake to do it in Armenia compared to what these guys have to go through.
Well, the problem is that Croatians are not very funny, so we don't do comedy out of humor, we do comedy out of spite and anger. I mean, that's basically everything that we do it out of spite and anger. We reached the finals of the World Cup because we were angry. So comedy in Croatia is an old and ancient tool to fight the oppression, to fight the power, to fight the government, to fight corruption. So the biggest problem is that when you say that you're a Croatian doing comedy, people who understand your language, for example, Serbs, Bosnians, Slovenians, and Montenegrins, they find that funny. Like Croatian doing a comedy, now that's a funny joke. So comedy is differently used in our country. It is used for the purposes of criticizing somebody, and people really, really enjoy that. So maybe we are not that hilarious, but it is because we don't want to be that funny.
I think it's quite popular, and like in my country and in the region in general. It's a very popular way to deal with what's happening around people, and there are like quite a few comedians and not much written, but the majority of it is like sort of video shows about the topic, basically.
Digital media gives satire and comedy an even bigger platform and many more different formats. I think that's what's amazing, especially with our work. We're able to produce political satire shows that we distribute on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and so forth. And therefore, we don't have to go through any state censorship. We're not trying to get onto TV or radio. We've got our own independent platforms, and we can reach young people where they're at and get them those alternative messages.
Digital media allows comedy to be more viral and to the message to come across more effectively in a shorter period of time. So you can, a joke can had much bigger amplifying power when it's being distributed by the audience.
This year we had enormous protests that happened in Montenegro. 10 to 15,000 people were in the street, which is for a tiny little country with tiny amount of population, it's a big thing. So we were in the street and we didn't know what to do. Okay, we just needed to protest because of one crazy thing that happened. And then we realized, okay, we have no power, we have no money, we have no support of anyone, so we are on our own. So what we can do? We can make fun of these guys. So day after day, week after week, we were trying to respond on everything what happened. Whatever they do, we try to respond. I told you we didn't have so much a budget, but that's what really drives us in, so that we needed to, to be more creative. So yes, we use a lot of humor, and we did use digital and social media to help us.
Digital media and all the tools on our hands makes the entry point very low. So basically everyone with a talent can start their own shows, and basically everyone can be a journalist of some sort.
In Germany and in the US too, I don't think that social media and online access will ever truly replace face-to-face comedy as well. There's something about communicating and doing stand-up in front of a live audience that won't go away. But I think we can count on social media to help promote that as well, to help get people in the door.
There's more opportunities, but the threats sometimes are a lot more difficult, because then you'll be able to be watched a lot more clearly. It's like surveillance is much easier from the side of governments. But on the other side, it's easier entry point. So much more difficult on one side and much easier on the other side.
There are good things and bad things about having so much access to it. Your message can get lost in the sea of social media posts and things like that, but it gives you the kind of access to audiences that you would never have otherwise.
Humor, I think it's one of the best tools. So it's really one of the most underestimated tools in politics. So politicians can use it, to gain more supporters, to mobilize supporters, or for example to mock at their opponents as well. But again, you shouldn't overestimate humor. So because there's another coin, as I like to say, another coin of the humor, which is you can oversimplify a topic. For example, it can be about the war, during the conflict. So you have to use the humor in a balanced way. That's very important to understand. But still, the humor is one of the best tools in politics as well. Different political shows, caricatures, anecdotes, they always helped, for example, to change regimes, to mock at the dictators, for the politicians to be more closer to their voters, to the people. So yes, humor is one of the most underestimated tools, which has to be used as much as possible. So games propose a new way of interacting with stuff. So basically I think they are still a little bit in the early stage when it comes to communication, and we are just looking out what we can do with the medium. But yeah, I think they give us a new opportunity to make people engage with the topics, right? Because like you have films which engage with story, you have music which engage with emotions, and then you have games which engage with gameplay and can hook your psychology around doing certain things, which then we as creators can exploit a little bit and make people more engaged.
So I think messages and words and storytelling are so powerful in moving people because we're able to give people an experience. They get to vicariously live through another character, and it could hold up. Storytelling can hold up a mirror to your own life. It could open a window to a new world that you've never seen before, to people that you've never get to meet in real life. The amazing thing about gaming is it becomes a truly immersive experience where you're not just seeing the story play out, but you are the main character. So you decide what to do, and then you are the one that receives the consequences of your decisions, and you get constant fun feedback all the time. So that's really where the power of gameplay is. I think it's an intersection of strong messaging, of stories and gameplay that can really move people, and that's where we can start seeing behavior change. As I said before, behavior change does not happen by giving people information. Behavior change happens through having experiences. And through gameplay, we can figure out what experience the audience needs most so that we can take them on a real life hero journey, not just within the game, but they can actually get to move them and start to shift their attitudes and behavior and make real positive social change in the world.
We are hardly investing time and resources into augmented reality because we are considering that this is the next tech, and many other giants in IT world also investing a lot of resources in this. And we believe that's a natural transformation that is going to come in 5-10 years perspective. And we are 5 years creating our own platforms and solutions in AR. Currently we are in maybe top 10 AR platforms globally, as we support all sorts of ARs, marker-based, markerless, and geolocation-based, which is like giving us the superpower to augment the content anywhere in the world and also to include into our libraries. Our main directions that we took, it's art, entertainment, and education. So we are working in these niches, and we did last year we did many big campaigns. I can say one of the biggest was the Van Gogh room, which get more than 10 million views only on the Facebook, and today I was sharing that cases with the others. And I consider that Armenia could really benefit from this, because this tech is sort of new for all, and if we will move fast, then this means we will be on the same start line with the others, so it will be nothing like we are behind. And currently we are really proudly saying that our app is becoming one of the leading in the niche in the AR world, and our focus is in future to support all kind of AR glasses and be available on all the platforms.
My name is Jacob. I run a festival in Warsaw, Poland, which deals with Games for Impact, that is games that deal with important social issues, and there's a broad range of these kinds of games, from political ones that kind of deal with current issues, like games about Trump, or there are some games that deal with health issues, that bring forward knowledge about depression or other psychosis, like a great game called Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Recommend to everyone. And on the other side of the spectrum, we actually have therapeutical games used in medical contexts, such as VR applications for people with autism. So it's a very broad range of titles, and I would like to invite everyone to come to Warsaw and take a look for themselves.
This is a conference for both games and humor, so you have something that gives you agency and engages you, and then you have something that can turn down barriers. And it is very, on these very rare occasions when somebody creates a game that is also a comedy, actually the impact is incredible, and you can actually use it to create anything and tackle any topic, even the very difficult ones.